Welcome back, everybody. This is The Locker Room, your favorite sports segment, and I'm here with a new face, and let the people know who you are.
Hey everyone, I'm AD. I'm joining them.
And today we have a very special guest. We're starting off the year with a bang, and we came to you with our very own counselor of SVM.
Mr. Molina, good to be here.
I'm glad you can make it, Mr. Molina. This is the first episode of The Locker Room with a special guest, so I'm glad it could be someone as special as yourself.
Hey, I'm honored. Thank you. I appreciate it.
How have you been? It's the beginning of the year. You know, it's always a little crazy, so
Yes.
especially for the counselors.
I guess a little bit doesn't describe it. You know, we start a couple of weeks before you guys do, and it's all scheduling. I mean, it's 8 to 5, scheduling, making sure everybody has the correct class and making sure everybody has the credits they need to graduate, doing some schedules at the house while I play with the kids. And I think I'm set, and as soon as the first day comes, I got all these students coming in. Can I get a schedule change? Can I get a schedule change, you know?
People missing classes, stuff like that.
Yes. So we had to limit it, obviously, to if you're missing a period, if it's needed and all that. And that goes on for 2 weeks. So finally, after the 2 weeks, there's a little bit of a break with scheduling, but it's a huge part because we want to make sure that all students have the classes that they need, especially you guys, seniors. You know, making sure that there's no surprises at the end and we take care of business. So it's a very busy time, but I love what I do. I love what I do, and I love the people that I work with, so it's great.
So typically, how long does it take for you to, like, the initial wave of scheduling changes? How long does that typically take?
So here at Townview, it's a little bit different because, you know, we have 6 schools, right, in our building. We house history and fine arts and some English classes. So those, back in February when we start everything, those that are in-house stay on the schedule. But you know, the math teachers are in law, some English teachers are in ESSM, science teachers in health. Those, for some reason, fall off the schedule. And so we have to come back and build it all over again. We start with the seniors, priority, you know, making sure that they have the math they need, the science they need, plugging in. So it's crazy because it's difficult to have everything work and everybody is happy. You can't make everybody happy. So we work with the seniors and work on down to the freshmen. And it's crazy, but you know, you make it work, and Miss Hobbs and I, we're a good team.
Yeah, I won't lie, I definitely was one of the people that needed a schedule change.
And you know, you want to make sure that you give the students what they need, and if you can grant what they want, then, you know, move forward with it, but you can't do it all the time.
Let's get to know you a little more personally. So,
Okay.
Right.
You grew up in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
I was born in Puerto Rico, yes, and I lived in Chicago.
Oh,
Hence the bow
makes
tie,
sense.
right?
Makes sense.
And the sports. When I was 2 years old, we moved to Chicago and I lived there for 8 years. Went to elementary school in Chicago, public schools, and that's where I got my sports identity. And we'll talk about that, more about that later. You know, the Cubs, the Bears, and the Bulls for the most part. When I was in 5th grade, we moved back to Puerto Rico, so the rest of my childhood, my teen years, my college years, and some of my adult life, I lived in Puerto Rico, about 15 minutes from the capital, which is San Juan.
Wow.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's where I spent the majority of my life. That's home to me. Puerto Rico is home to me.
So you said it's your home. Are there any, like, outstanding memories or people that originate from Puerto Rico that you connect with especially?
So, going back to sports, Roberto Clemente is who stands out. He was one of the best baseball players. I never got to see him play live. My dad did, and he tells me, but I read a lot about him, and he was a great humanitarian as well. He passed away because he was going to Guatemala, I believe. There was an earthquake,
plane, right?
and on December 30th, 1971, the plane fell, and to this day they haven't found the plane. But he was going to help those people in the earthquake. So he was not just a good baseball player, he was a good role model and a good humanitarian. So that's who I mostly look up to, of the people that I never knew or I never saw play live. And if I say native from Puerto Rico, that would be him, Roberto Clemente.
What about during your time in Chicago? Were there any outstanding moments that really still stick with you?
So as far as sports is concerned, I always remember, if you know a little bit of history of Wrigley Field, it wasn't until 1988 when they had lights, and all the games were played during daytime. And one of the great memories that I have is my dad going to school and taking me out of school because we're going to watch a Cubs baseball game. And that was great, you know. That happened a few times. Watched them play against the Cardinals, against the Reds, and other teams like that back in the 80s, daytime. There's nothing like baseball at Wrigley Field.
I've been there before.
You've been there before?
Yes,
yeah, it's a great experience, man. It's a good experience, and you know, as a child, having those memories with my dad and my siblings, it's good. It's great times. It's great times.
So kind of going back more towards education, you said you spent a few years in Puerto Rico, but then, you spent a few years here and then you moved back to Puerto Rico?
Yes.
How would you say that shift, especially in your early years, affected you in maybe say high school and middle school?
So it didn't affect me, but it was a culture shock, right? So I moved from the city in Chicago where it's super cold. 2 weeks before we moved, believe it or not, the temperature was 80 degrees below zero with the wind chill factor. With the wind chill factor. It was really like 25 or 30, but with the wind chill factor, it was 80. And then 2 weeks later, you're in Puerto Rico where it's all year long, 85, 90 degrees. Right. I remember living in the country with my grandmother the first month or so while we got a house and got settled and all that. And one of the fondest memories I have from my childhood is that once we moved out of the country in Puerto Rico, we would go every other Saturday, we would go back to my grandma to visit her. But I remember my dad giving me a sackcloth bag, un saco, what we call in Spanish, and we would go into the mountain to get fruits and vegetables and all kinds of goodies to eat. And when we came back, my grandmother was ready to cook that so we can eat it. And she did not cook inside the house. She had what we call in Spanish un fogón, which is an outside kitchen, right? And so everything was done with wood and not with, electricity or gas. It was with wood. And the food there, obviously tastes different. So that was every other Saturday with my family, my dad and my brother. That's great memories that I have with my dad and my siblings.
So it was just a real big change for you going from the city life where you can go around the store, around to the corner store, and you can get basically whatever you want.
Right.
So kind of like a culture shock going back?
It was a culture shock. I'll tell you a short story about that. I remember that my grandmother asked me, "Do you want rice with chicken?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I love it." So she went out and she got a chicken and, she snapped the neck and she cut it off and she took the feathers off and she cooked that thing. I said, "What? That's not what I meant. I thought something like Kentucky Fried Chicken, So it was a culture shock, but that's where I came from. That's my heritage, my roots, and I'm proud of it. And after that, we moved to an area closer to the capital, which was city again, and that's where I went to middle school and high school, a small school of the church that I attended to. So that's where I went to school from 6th grade through 12th grade. Obviously, Puerto Rico being a Spanish-speaking country, even though it belongs to the United States, it's the language is Spanish. But in school, we learned English. It was a private Christian school, and so everything was in English except for Spanish class. And so I'm appreciative of that because I was able to keep the English that I learned when I was here in Chicago, and then I learned a whole lot of Spanish being in the country. My education through 6th to 12th grade was all bilingual.
Okay.
And so, I learned both languages fluently, and it served me well, in the counseling role I have now and here in Dallas ISD. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that.
So was it like that? Because you went to you went to university in Puerto Rico as well. I
did.
Right?
I went to Universidad Interamericana de Puerto Rico, Inter-American University of Puerto Rico. When I graduated high school, I wanted to go to college, but I wasn't definite in what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And so I went into marketing, accounting, just because that's what everybody else was doing. Yeah. But I remember in one of the English classes that I took, his name was Albert. I don't know his last name. I remember his face. He shared a composition that he wrote, an essay that he wrote, and he said that he wanted to be an educator, and the reason he said he wanted to be an educator is because as at the age he was like 20, 21. He does not remember who his dentist was, who his doctor was. He doesn't remember none of that, but he remembers who his teachers were. And I thought, man, I want to make an impact, like somebody made in his life. And at the time, I was working part-time as a custodian at the school that I graduated from. So I was interacting with the students there, and so I got a love for the students, a passion to work with the students. So I shifted into education, and so I worked part-time at the school as a custodian, and then I went to college, and then they gave me a class or two to teach right there, and I transitioned into that role of teaching, and I taught there for 10 years before I came here to Dallas ISD as an educator as well.
So you initially didn't want to be a teacher, but you kind of got a feel for what it might be like to have an impact on the students when you were a janitor, and that's what made you want to shift?
Absolutely. I could see, I enjoyed being around them. Obviously I was 21 years old, so I played basketball with them during their break time sometimes and all that. And just that interaction I enjoyed, and I thought, man, this is something I enjoy, I like to do, and I can make an impact on lives moving forward. So I decided to make a shift in what I was studying, and I thank God I did, because that was, I think, what the Lord had for me.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So you noted that what was the name? I'm sorry, I already forgot. The name of your friend?
Albert.
Albert. You said Albert.
And he wasn't my friend, by the way. Somebody in class.
It was just some random dude. Somebody random.
But I remember the impact of the essay when he shared it, and how that made an impact on me. So that's why I remember his name.
So you said Albert. He felt the impact of his teachers. Were there any teachers that impacted you in certain ways? There
was many, but if I could name one, his name was Mr. Hernandez, and he was my teacher for a few years. But I remember in my senior year, he was one of my teachers, and we went through a hard time as a family, and he was there for me. He counseled me, he guided me throughout my whole senior year. And I could say, if it were not for that, for him, I probably wouldn't be here today. Because, it's critical times in the lives of people where others intervene and guide and take them to where they are today. And I truly believe that if he would not have that impact and that counseling that he had with me, I would have made other decisions that would have guided me to other places and not here. So Mr. Hernandez, absolutely, my senior year teacher.
Oh, wow. So would you say that his impact on your life, it extended outside of the school? So has that impacted the way you've tried to make an impact in students' lives? Absolutely,
because he was not only a teacher, he was a counselor, a guidance counselor for me. So what he did with me is what I try to do with the students, right? And so I know I'm getting ahead of the conversation here, but it has guided me to where I am today in counseling, which, at the beginning of the year, it starts with scheduling and all that. But it moves into guiding students with the future decisions that they need to make, social and emotional things that they're going through. And just, it fills me to help other students. I've been in education now for 27 years, and I could see, I communicate with some of the students that I taught when I began. Right. Man, and today they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're professionals, and they come back and we communicate through social media, and they express their gratitude, man, and there's nothing that fills me more than that right there.
So how was the shift between counseling and teaching?
So, in teaching, the impact is limited in a sense to the classroom, right? And so in counseling, it goes beyond the classroom. I could not only impact students outside the classroom, but also their families. And being Hispanic and knowing English and Spanish, and the majority, or over 70% of our population, is bilingual, then I can have an impact also in those families. So it's that, just having that impact outside of the classroom, and not just education, but life per se. Yeah, I enjoy what I do. I love it.
That's interesting. So, were there any situations where you've experienced, where you have you noted that you reached out to your students that are now doctors and lawyers and whatnot?
Well, yes. This past summer, I went back to Puerto Rico. I go every other summer, visit my parents and visit family. And I was able to get in contact with a couple of my students, and one of them is a realtor, and she just wanted to reach out and say thank you. So she met my family, she met my kids, and her parents as well. We had a good connection. And another one that is in the marketing business, of all places, right? Oh. In the marketing business. And so, she reached out, and we got together, our families with her family. She's in her early 30s now. And so, just seeing those people that you had some type of investment in their lives, it just fills me. So, there's others I could share, 27 years of experience, but those are the two most recent ones that I can share out and say.
So you were a counselor before you came to business, correct?
No, I was not. I was a reading coach.
Oh.
Yes. We moved, my wife and I moved here to Dallas in 2007. And since then, I've been in the classroom. I taught at Hood Middle School. And then after that, I was a reading coach. So I worked with adults, with the teachers, helping them in different teaching strategies so that they can help the students. And I did that for about 7 years. And then during the pandemic, then I started my master's degree in counseling and finished it. And then the first job I landed in counseling was at the best place ever, right here at School of Business at Townview.
So one and done, you found your place.
This is it. This is where I'm comfortable. This is what I love. And I'll tell you the truth. I don't drag myself to work.
Oh.
Everybody has their days, but I don't. It's not like I get up every day. No. I enjoy and I love what I do, and it's investing in the life of students, of scholars.
So the NFL season starts tomorrow, basically. So
yes, it does.
It's here. Are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
So there's a little problem here.
Yeah, it is.
We're just gonna.
You think it's a problem?
More than a little bit.
I don't know about a problem, but it's definitely the elephant in the room.
Okay, gotcha.
So you're clearly a big Chicago guy.
Right. I am.
We're down in Texas. We're in the Big D.
Yeah.
And we're diehard Cowboys fans around here.
So let me ask you this: if you move to Chicago, will you be a Bears fan?
No.
Well, that's exactly what happened to
I'm
me.
born and raised in Texas.
That's what I'm saying. So
I gotta stick to my roots.
And I stick to mine in Chicago.
Yeah,
so.
I understand it. I'm just
But
saying.
it has to
gotcha.
be rough sometimes.
Yes.
It is.
Especially
it
right
is.
now when the Bears.
I mean, I like Justin Fields. I like,
I thought there was a lot of potential with them, but their performance
We'll see. The performance has not been there, but I'm confident this year, and we finally got Aaron Rodgers out of our division, out of our hair, so I think that helps a lot. Yeah. No, but honestly, I think with the new coach and some better O-line around him and some receivers, I think it'll be. I'm not saying we're gonna get all the way there, but I think it'll be a better year than it was the last couple years. Right. And so we got our first challenge on Sunday against the Packers. Jordan Love is gonna be there. We ain't gonna show him much love.
Lucky Aaron Rodgers isn't there anymore.
I know. Yeah, he owned us. I hate to say it, but he owned us.
He owned the whole division.
He sure
to
did.
be honest, I don't really know. I can't really think of one team that Aaron Rodgers really struggled against. Like
Patriots. Not in his division.
Well, really, that's the playoffs. Like Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
And that's the thing. Regular season was great. Obviously, in 2011, I think 2011 he won it all.
Something like that.
And that was here in Dallas.
It was a catch. I will stand by that. No. Didn't the NFL come back years later?
Came back years later,
and they were like, it was a catch. Like, why at that point? Why do you need to come back? You're just trying to rub salt in old wounds. Like, just leave it alone.
He's mad about it to this day. He's mad about it. He talks about it on podcast. It was a catch. It had to have been a catch. But
Talk about Bryant. Bryant. Yeah, that was years later, but that's okay.
But
we've been there as well, so
it's fun.
But that's what I did. Baseball and basketball. Basketball more so than baseball as far as playing, because in baseball you need a whole 18 people to play.
You only need 2 people.
Basketball,
to play.
Let's go, man. Or you can shoot by yourself. So basketball, I played a lot of basketball. And obviously follow the Bulls, follow the Cubs, follow the Bears. I didn't ever play football, but I did follow it.
Okay.
So those are the 2 sports. And then my dad is obviously a huge baseball fan. Right. Like I said, being a Roberto Clemente fan and growing up, it was all baseball for him. So that was our connection.
Okay.
So, and so you see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I rock the Bears and the Cubs and the Bulls. So.
What about any other extracurricular activities during your time?
So I'm always involved in church and in the community, and so from a child I was taught to go to church and be involved in the community. So on Saturdays, on weekends, that's what we do.
Right.
We have an outreach program where we go out and we present to people the gospel and bring them to church if we can on Sunday. And that's what we do to invest back into the community.
So your faith has a very important role in your life.
Absolutely. Yes, it is.
Kind of tying back into that. So would you say that your upbringing had a very big role on what you chose to be as your career? Like originally you wanted to go into...
Yes, absolutely, because as I mentioned, the church that I went to had the school, and that's where that's my alma mater, and that's where I also taught for 10 years. So absolutely, if I weren't in that church, then it would have been totally different. So yes, it had a great impact. I cannot deny that.
So that's kind of where it instilled your morals and it kind of characterized you as a person?
Absolutely. The values, all the values that I get is from what I learned going to church. My pastor, Cortez, he was my pastor for 22 years and passed away in 2009. And so, but yes, everything that I learned was through that and him, and I'm thankful for that.
So kind of going back to you, how has it been a Chicago fan in all sports? How has it been being here in Dallas?
Rough. It's from. I'll tell you one anecdote. When I bought the car that I have now, I have a Honda Accord. I bought it 10 years ago. I parked it in church. I got good friends in church, good camaraderie at church, but they're all Cowboys fans. They're all Cowboys fans, Yeah. And so right. I remember stepping out of church, and when I go to my car, man, it had Cowboys jerseys on the seats. It was written Cowboys all over. I said, I had my keys. I said, what happened here? And so, after some investigating, they kind of bribed my wife, and she gave them the copy of the key, and they went and they did all that. So it's been rough, but I did my homework, and so since I've been here in 2007, we've been 4-4.
Right.
4-4.
The Bears and the Cowboys?
Yes, we played it never 50-50. In the playoffs. It's 50-50, and I don't think we have you on the calendar this year. If we do, it'll be 5-4.
I don't think so.
I'm not too sure.
It'll be our favorite 5-4.
5-4 to us, if anything. Especially I think Dak could pick y'all's defensive part. Do y'all even still have Khalil Mack? No, he got traded.
No, Khalil Mack is gone. That was the old regime.
That was y'all one good defensive player. Who do y'all have on defense?
I haven't looked at the defense specifically with names and all that because I've been discouraged these last couple years. But more than a couple years.
That should give you a little clue as to how the game would go between us.
It's going to turn around. Justin Fields will turn us around. But let's talk about baseball.
Oh, okay.
Baseball.
Let's talk about baseball. Yeah.
The Rangers are finally doing good.
The Rangers are doing amazing.
The Rangers are doing good.
Let me say this. I'm a Rangers fan, American League, and the reason being, obviously, I'm in Texas.
Right.
But also, the Rangers have always had Puerto Rican players. Pudge Rodriguez, Igor Gonzalez. Rafael Palmeiro is from Cuba, so I always followed because of the Latin American players and the Hispanic players, and they're doing great this year. Lately, they're kind of slipping, but they're doing great now.
It's way better than previous years.
Yes,
most definitely, yeah.
And now, being a Chicago Cubs fan, if y'all know a little bit of history of baseball, it took 108 years from one World Series to the next.
Yeah, the 2016.
There you go.
The curse.
2016. That's when I got this. Somebody got it for me when the Cubs won. And so, but they have a pretty good team this year. And so, they're going to make the playoffs. It looks like they're going to make the playoffs. So it won't be another 108 years for sure.
Just a few years drought.
No White Sox. No White Sox at all, huh?
No White Sox. And I'll tell you the interesting thing about the 2016 championship. It was won, this is crazy, November 2nd of 2016. And the reason I remember that is because my son was born November 1, 2016.
Okay.
He was born on a Tuesday. And then the Cubs won a championship on a Wednesday. And so my brother lives in Puerto Rico, huge Cubs fan. And he calls me on Thursday and he says, hey, we're going to the parade. You want to go with me? Couldn't do it, man.
What? He couldn't go to the parade?
I couldn't do it. And my son was just born. I got to tend to my, family first.
Oh, my
Family first. The parade was on a Friday. That's the day she got discharged from the hospital with the baby. So, I got to live. No. Couldn't do it. This time, when it happens, I'm going. I'm going to the parade.
I don't know
about this time.
Come on. It could happen.
I mean,
if I was you,
I'll get hope.
I won't lie. If I was you, I would have brought my wife, brought my kid, went to the parade,
Man, he
sat
was-
in
he
in a
was-
wheelchair. I would have been rolling her along the street.
He was
Like,
3
this is-
days old, man.
I mean,
Man,
hey,
oh well.
it's
Like,
getting younger.
You gotta start him off young.
Right,
Like,
right,
he gotta be. He can say since day one.
Day
He's been
one
a
fan.
Cub.
Well, you know
Say
what?
one
The,
fan.
that Tuesday night, we were down in the series 3-1, and then we played on that Sunday, and it was 3-2. That Tuesday, Jake Arrieta pitched, and we won that game. And so to this day, I have friends that call him Baby Arrieta because he was like the lucky charm for them to win on
Lucky
that
charm.
Tuesday. And then check this out: on Wednesday night, when the Cubs won, I was home alone. Just my 2 kids, because my wife was in the hospital with the baby, and I had my other 2 kids, but they were upstairs sleeping. So I celebrated the championship home alone. But hey, it was 108 years. So it was
Home
worth it.
celebration.
If
yeah.
anything, that's better. You can go as crazy as you want.
right.
She doesn't get mad at
Right,
you.
right.
Like,
Right. So, but it was good. I enjoyed that. So, and again, being a Bulls fan, I saw Michael Jordan play live one time. One time because
When was
obviously it was in Philly.
in Philly.
And it was in Philly. It was Allen Iverson's rookie year.
Wow, that was it must
And
have been
so,
amazing.
if you're a basketball fan, you've seen this clip.
was it the crossover?
Come on now.
You were there for the
You were there for the
crossover?
crossover?
Oh, that's cool.
That's the
one on-
only game.
That's
Because
insane.
I have some friends that live in Philly. And so they went. I remember that Christmas they went to visit Puerto Rico. So we talked to them. Hey, can we go to your house and stay at your house and see Jordan play? He's gonna play Iverson. He said sure.
That's insane.
So man, my brother and I, we bought a plane ticket. We flew to Philly. We got there on a Tuesday. They played on a Wednesday night, and that's that game where Allen Iverson crossed Jordan, which they
That's
lost the game, but everybody
wild.
was talking about how
Yeah.
he crossed Jordan.
Hey, nobody
doesn't
remembers the
matter.
loss.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers
Nobody
the loss.
remembers the loss.
That's like the highlight of
I think
that
Jordan
whole
had like
season.
30
I
or
remember
40
the
that
win.
game too.
I
but
remember
still,
the win,
Yeah.
and that was the second of the three-peats, or the third of the three-peats of Jordan. Of the,
Okay.
you know the second
The
bet,
second wave. of
the
it,
second
yeah.
wave of it. And so, but that was the only game I saw him play live.
That's crazy.
And I went there specifically for that game. So it's kind of crazy story, but hey,
Did you know in the moment that it was gonna be like this?
no,
like,
absolutely not. Because to this day, this was in 1998.
Okay.
So to this day, y'all have seen that clip.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
all.
And
yeah,
it's what
on
25
YouTube.
years
Yeah,
later,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's still played. No, at the time nobody knew, because nobody knew what Iverson was going to be either. He was a
Number one
rookie
overall pick.
sensation.
He was the
It was his rookie year,
crazy.
and he was a rookie sensation. But man, he was one of the great small point guards ever.
Yeah.
And
about
so
6'1", 6
yeah,
foot.
yeah. So nobody knew what it was going to be. But yes, I could say I was at. I wish I kept the stub,
I wish too.
but yes, my brother and I were at that game.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, huh?
That's insane.
That's the
And
only
did the-
one.
And did the crowd go like?
That's what I'm saying.
Did
Listen,
the crowd go insane?
I'm
What was it
telling
like
you.
to be there in person?
We won the
Yeah.
game, but it didn't matter that we
didn't,
won the
no.
game.
The-
Because
the Philly
everybody
fans were-
after the game was talking how Iverson crossed Jordan at top of the key. I mean, the energy in that stadium when that happened, I can't tell you.
Then of course it was all she wrote, and Allen Iverson went on to have an amazing career. After
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Started it off.
So, but yeah, that's the only time I saw Jordan play live because we lived in Puerto Rico, but it was a great experience. I wouldn't change it.
Come to think of it, I think that's like really the only notable moment where Jordan ever gets like
Beat,
heat.
yeah.
It's the only time like the shink.
That-
What's the word?
You
The
don't really
shink in the
remember.
armor is shown.
Yeah, you don't really remember the
Yeah,
early
for
years
him.
when he was losing,
Yeah.
and
Well, the early years, I remember them.
Yeah.
When in 86, 87, 88, when we
Pistons,
couldn't
yeah.
get past the bad boy Detroit Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
They won a couple
Volleyball.
championships in a
They
row.
won two,
Yes,
yeah.
Bill Lane Beer, Rick Mahorn, all those people.
with Dennis Rodman.
Oh, Dennis Rodman when he was the enemy at that time.
Yeah.
The Jordan rules and all that.
yeah.
But finally, in 1991, got over the hump and won. Man, I just wish he would not have retired
In the middle of it, yeah.
in the middle of it, because then the Rockets came and won 2. With the Dream,
Yeah.
the
King,
Dream, King the Dream.
Yeah.
And then when he came back, then the Bulls won. I think it would have been 8 in a row, but
8 in a row.
you never know.
8 in a row, huh?
is
You
insane.
never know. You just never know.
No, Hakeem was.
Yeah. So I mean, you just never know. As a Bulls fan, I say it would have been 8 in a row, but Akeem the Dream, I mean, he was bad.
Yeah.
He was bad. So, yeah, the Bulls and the Cubs and the Bears won Super Bowl in '85, and hey, It might happen in our lifetime. Might not.
They went to another Super Bowl in what was it?
2006. Well, 2007, which is the 2006 season.
All right, yeah.
But it so happened it was Peyton Manning on the other side.
Yeah, that was.
Y'all got unlucky.
It's a master class.
And it is said that the Bears went to a Super Bowl with no quarterback.
Oh, your defense led
The-
your
the
entire.
quarterback-
I honestly couldn't tell you who the quarterback.
You can't tell me. You
I
can't tell
remember
me.
Devin
either.
Hester running back a kickoff. That's about.
Yeah, that's
the only offense I
player I
remember.
remember is Devin Hester because of his insane kick.
So the quarterback was Rex Grossman.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know.
And
no clue.
y'all are getting on my nerves here because let me tell you this: we had a chance to draft. Guess who? Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Really?
They were one of the 20. They were one of the 24 or the 23.
Yeah,
that passed
he got
on.
drafted like 20 something.
Yeah.
And we drafted Kyle Orton. Who's Kyle Orton?
I've never.
And then
You
he
know?
went on to torment y'all for like however many years.
I don't remember
And
any of the
then
picks before Aaron
and then a
Rodgers.
few years later in 2017, we drafted I even forget his name, but we passed
Mitch Trubisky is his name.
Yes.
Mitch Trubisky. Guess who we passed in that draft?
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes.
Deshaun Watson.
Patrick.
There was so many
Yes,
good quarterbacks
Deshaun Watson.
in that draft.
Several.
Yep. And so that's a little bit of a, like you said earlier, salt in the wound.
Yes.
But I think Justin Fields will take us to the promised land.
Okay.
I think so.
I definitely do.
I definitely like him.
I do.
I do like him, but really they need to surround him with weapons that he can use. Because like I feel like every play I've ever watched of the Bears, it's him scrambling around
Yes,
for his
that
life
is
and
true.
then throwing the ball.
That is
away
true.
at the
But
last second.
with the receiver, I think his last name is Moore.
Yeah, DJ Moore.
DJ
from
Moore
Carolina.
with there and some O-line to protect him. I think
Definitely
the game will be balanced.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
game will be balanced, and I'm not saying we might make the playoffs. I think it's a turnaround season, and it's only upward from
Only
there.
going
So
up.
we'll see.
I mean, once you
see how
hit
it goes.
rock bottom, there's only one.
There's
place
only
to go.
one way to
One way
go,
to
which
go.
is up, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
So and then as far as playing sports, I've always played sports, basketball and baseball, but those are more active sports, right? So I've
Right.
adopted a more sedentary sport these days.
Yeah.
So I play golf.
Oh, you play
Yeah.
golf?
Yes.
Okay.
I play golf.
Golf can be very frustrating.
Yes, it can. I could have told you that this last Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to Top Golf once in my life, and it was a lot of fun.
Top
but
Golf a couple
I
times.
was
So I used to say, when they invited me to play golf the first time, I said, well, anybody can hit that ball.
That's exactly
And,
what I.
and I was right.
Exactly
I was right. Anybody can hit that ball.
You
Hit the
definitely
ball.
can hit it. You can hit it.
But hit it where you want to.
That's
Yes,
And
So
how you
that's-
want to is two different things. So it's a
Yeah.
challenge, And anybody that loves sports, when they challenge you to do something,
You got to do it.
you want to go do it. What I love about it is I have a pull cart and I walk courses.
Okay.
And it's 18 holes. It's about a 6 to 7 mile walk.
Because most people just sit on the cart and just drive around.
Yeah,
and
so it depends on the course. I'll get a
Yeah.
cart, but these hot days, you gotta
You,
get a
you
cart.
got to get it. You can't walk in 100.
But now that it starts getting a little bit cooler, then I'll get a pull cart. I save a little bit of money, and just go out there and walk the course, and it's good. I go with friends and we talk, and we just we have a good time.
Okay.
And then the score, we don't pay attention to the score afterward. It's just a number.
It's just
It's just a number. No bets.
just have
No
some
bets
fun.
on the side.
No bets. It's all for fun.
Okay.
It's all for fun, but it never ends up being fun because
Everybody
end up
is,
with 90s and hundreds and all that. And it's ironic because it's the only sport where you want a low score.
Yeah.
You don't want a high score, right? And so,
I mean, I can get a high score. That's for sure.
oh, I can too,
Yeah, everybody can.
and I don't have to try hard to do it either.
No.
It comes
not at all.
almost natural.
It's natural.
Almost not.
We could say you're a natural at getting high score.
Yes,
Yeah.
in golf. In
Just
golf.
don't specify that it's golf.
Exactly. Exactly.
just-
Exactly.
As
Just keep
absolutely.
the illusion alive.
Exactly.
Kind of going back to football. So when the Bears inevitably don't make the playoffs or get bounced, do you
First
then?
round.
Yeah. Do you then transition to the Cowboys, or do you have like a go-to?
Backup team
Yeah.
per se.
Man, I just it's not in me. I can't do that, man.
So
You know,
you just
so I
don't.
ju-
You're done with football.
I just go to an AFC team.
An AFC team.
An AFC team because if the Bears didn't make it in the NFC, then I'm gonna jump
And root
on
for
the
the
AFC.
AFC.
But it's not bandwagon. I root for a team, but
So the Chiefs. Okay, we got it.
Yeah, that's probably.
no. Well, the Chiefs won. It's okay if they win, so long as the Cowboys don't win. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I shouldn't have said that here, but hey.
I mean, we've been shooting ourselves in the foot as of recently.
It's been rough to watch. It's been very rough to watch.
Yeah, you know, I think Dak. I think he's a good quarterback, but I think he has to control too many interceptions. You know, when you turn the ball over,
League in interceptions.
and that comes from a Bears fan. When you turn the ball over, you can't win. You can't win. So he's got to take care of the ball. He's got to take care of the ball, and you know, and let that running game open the passing game.
Right.
You know, and not force it. So.
Especially now that we traded for Trey Lance, do you think that's gonna motivate Dak to perform consistently and to?
Well, it could be. It could be a motivator for him, right? Because Trey Lance was a first-round pick, and
Top
so
5
you know
Yeah,
Jerry
it was
Jones.
very high.
Jerry Jones is a very smart businessman.
Right.
He did not go get Trey Lance just to get Trey Lance. You know, he knows what he's doing, and so I think that Dak Prescott, if he doesn't perform this year, you know, Trey Lance is there for a reason. He's not there just to
It's
fill a
not just
vacant
for
spot.
show.
No,
Yeah.
no. So, you know, him being a businessman, he's thinking towards the future,
Right.
and I think that's why Trey Lance was traded for.
Yeah, I love me some Dak, but we need to get to the second round at least.
Exactly.
Before,
At least past the second round.
Yeah,
before
you know,
we can give him some leeway on his lacking.
Yeah.
and that's a lot of money too.
Yeah.
You know, is it 50
$140
million?
million guaranteed.
50 million a year or something?
Yeah.
all of
something
it's
crazy
guaranteed.
Like that.
I mean,
It's
that's,
all guaranteed.
Every single last dollar of that contract is guaranteed.
and so you know that's hard to do because then you limit yourself with others that you need to invest in to protect the quarterback and to make the team successful. So it's hard to balance that equation, and so you know.
We just had a holdout with our offensive lineman for
That's
more
correct.
money
That's
because
correct.
he feels like he needs more money.
But I agree with Zach Martin. Like, he's one of the best players in the league, period, and not to mention at his position. So I'm not too mad at him for wanting to be paid with his skill set. Like,
I mean, and look at what the Ravens quarterback did.
Lamar
Lamar
Jackson,
Jackson.
yeah.
You know, he needs to get paid. You know, he needs to get paid. The money is coming in, and so you know they hold out because they want to get paid on it. It's a whole lot of money, but you know how much money the NFL produces.
Billions of
You
dollars.
know,
billions and billions.
So that's almost pocket change.
If the
in
teams
sense.
themselves are worth billions, the league is pulling in so much more money.
So that's why these players are demanding money because they're the ones that are, you know, leaving their skin out there.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
You
the
know,
Commanders
man.
just sold for 11.5
I
billion.
really don't understand that one. The Commanders are booty.
They're
but
horrible.
But that tells you the business of the NFL.
It's the entirety
Everybody
of
wants
the
to be
NFL.
involved.
Yeah, they want a piece of the pie.
Right.
Yeah.
But what is going on with contracts recently? Like, I know right
yeah.
before we started recording, who was it? It was Nick Bosa, right?
Yeah.
He just signed
Oh, is
an
that right?
extension.
I didn't read that.
Yeah, it was right before we started. He signed like a 175 million.
Defensive player of the year, though.
Yeah.
Defensive
I
player
mean,
of the year.
it does make sense that he's one of the best players.
Definitely a
in the league.
premier player.
But I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up for today.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Molina,
I appreciate
for
it.
coming here and joining with us
Absolutely.
for the first episode of the Locker Room. We couldn't have hoped to have a better guest today.
I
Definitely.
appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Most definitely. Anytime you want to come back, just let us know. We'll clear our schedule. For
More
you.
than welcome.
How about when the Bears win the Super Bowl?
Then you might never
Well,
come back on the
I'm
show.
probably-
We can't, we can't bring you back.
We're
Okay.
probably
Shame.
gonna be long gone.
Okay, so let's do it before they win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
most
right.
definitely.
That'll work.
This is the first sports segment of the year where we have many more to come. But make sure to follow us on our social medias, all down below. And we'll see y'all in the next one.
All right,
See
see you
y'all.
later.